Okay, so for those of you that already watched the video I did looking at comping takes alongside recording, we're going to go over that again now, but specifically with a view to looking at editing audio, which is what this video is all about. So the first thing you'll need to do is go to your Logic 9 files on the CMS drive in the resources folder and find in the lessons folder a lesson called O3 New Day. And what we're going to do is open that up and it will look like what I've got here. And we can see that a take folder is present on acoustic track 6. So this is our take folder here. I'll just select it to highlight it. If we double click onto the folder, it will open. Okay, and that gives us our takes that we've got in there that have been recorded. Okay, different versions of a performance that we can choose from. If we press Z, we can zoom right into that. Okay, so we can see it now, and the take folder is still displayed on the acoustic track 6 with a disclosure triangle before its name and a take folder menu at the top right. So we can see that Bright Acoustic Mark 1 take at the top is selected. It's highlighted and it has a black title bar, which means that's what's playing back. Okay, so if you notice the name of the take folder, it's called Bright Acoustic 1, which is the same name as that. And if we select any other tracks to listen to, it changes accordingly. Okay, so in the bar ruler, I want you to drag a cycle region from bars 5 to 9. Just like that. And if you press space bar, we can hear that if I just select this track again, we can hear that the beginning is a bit messy, but bars 7 or 8 sound good. Okay, like I said, we can just preview other ones by selecting them there. And the Bright Acoustic 2, which has a different colour here, it's really good on the first bar, but most of the notes on the rest of the take are not that great. As we can see, they look pretty weak from a waveform perspective anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to choose bars 7 and 8 from Acoustic 1 because we liked those. So we're going to choose roughly there, bar 7 and 8 there. I'm going to choose those. Actually, you might as well just go all the way to the end there. And then from Bright Acoustic 2, we're going to choose bar 5. So we just bring our swipe tool to the start of bar 5 here and just hold it down and start dragging. Okay, we can set that so that's bar 6 there. So we've got, well, sorry, that's my mistake. I should have done it down here. Okay, so Bright Acoustic 1 for 7 and 8, and Bright Acoustic 2 down here. As you can see, it's selected by default. But what we're going to do now is we're going to choose bar 6 for a Bright Acoustic 3. So we drag down here and we just highlight from bar 6 to 7. And we can see actually now, because we can see by the colours which have been chosen. So here we've got bars 7 and 8. Here we've got bars 5 and 6. Or sorry, bar 5 and then bar 6 here. Okay, so we've got a rough estimation so far of where we need to cross over our points, and that's the quick swipe function. Okay, so next we're going to select the best sections of each take to create a single flawless composite take. So yeah, what we're going to do is if we the entire track is selected and the colour of the name, the colour and the name are displayed, on each of the tracks, as we can see. If we click Bright Acoustic 3 on the downbeat of bar 6 and drag to the right to select one more measure, then it allows us to take over to get that first transient in there, which is really good. We don't worry about being precise. We're going to fine-tune the edits later in the session, but right now we just need to get it in the same sort of ballpark. So a comp is created, a basic comp is created, and the name of the take folder is now called Acoustic Comp 1. By examining the colours, we can see that the take folder will play back the selected parts that we have chosen. Okay. Right. Okay. So we've got Bright Acoustic 2 up here. Sorry, here, and that's going from bar 5 to 6. Then we've got Bright Acoustic 3 for the duration of bar 6, just cutting over that transient there, and then we've got 7 and 8 for Bright Acoustic 1. Okay, so we're going to click the Bright Acoustic 1 take in the bar 7 and 8 section. There we go. That section of the Bright Acoustic is now highlighted and will play in the comp. This technique makes it easier to compare the same section in several takes after you've determined the locations of your edit points. Okay, so we're going to listen to the comp. Okay, seems like we've got a flawless performance there. We're going to listen a bit closely now. So in the acoustic track header, we're going to click the solo button just up here, and we'll listen back to that again. Now that doesn't sound too bad, but you know, if we weren't happy with it, what we can do is we can use our Option Control Drag, which is our little magnifying glass function, around the first edit to zoom in. So the first edit, which is this one, is just here. So we can zoom in on that edit there and have a look what's going on, and we can see that it's not crossing over that well. Okay, so if you place your pointer over the beginning of the section in the Bright Acoustic 3 track, take rather, and drag so that the edit is positioned just before the attack of the first note you want to hear in the selection, which is the note just before bar 6. So we can see here, we just drag that along. So it's just before the transient. There we go. And that's fine. That means we've got as much as we can of this previous track in there. Okay, so we're going to Option Control and click to zoom back out. And so we can see the whole thing again. And then if we go around to the second edit, which is this one here, and we have a little look at that, what's going on. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. But we want to make sure that that it all looks good. Okay, so as you can see, it's not bad, but we can get it a little bit better because this second note starts coming in just there. So if we just drag it back a little bit, it looks a bit better. So we Option Control click, and we can zoom back out on that. Okay. Once you're happy with your comp, you can commit to it. So we're going to flatten the take folder, replacing it with the audio regions that comprise the current comp 1. So at the top right of the take folder, which is just up here, there's a little menu up here. If we click in that, we can see flatten down here. Okay, we're going to choose that, and then it flattens our take folder so that it's no longer a take folder anymore, but just the audio that we want to hear. Okay, so we're going to look at assigning mouse tools now. So until now you've worked exclusively with the default tools, or you probably have been, and you've also used some basic keyboard modifiers such as the Option Control and Drag to zoom, like we just used. Okay, but when editing in the audio editor, you'll need to access a lot more tools. two tools, two tool menus are located at the upper right of the arrange area, just up here. So this is our left click and our right click, or command click. Okay. If we position the pointer over the area, over the background of the arrange area, and we hold down Control, we see that it brings up our hold down Command, and it brings up our Command tool, which is the tool on the right at the top, or our right click tool, however you want to view it. If we go back up, we can change that up here. Let's go back up and change that tool, and we're going to choose the text tool. And what we're going to do is we're just going to click over here. Whoops, sorry, don't want to bring the sample editor up. We're going to hold down our command button, and we're going to hold and then click into there. And this way we can actually change the names of our regions inside the arrange area. So we're going to call these beginning, and then press enter. You see, because I had them all selected, it's changed them all. So if I just deselect them all, then command click this one, call it middle, and I'm going to command click this one, call it end, obviously. Okay, and there we got a way of actually naming our regions. You know, you notice that our track header still says acoustic over here, but these regions are different, and we can see what they are now, and we can call them obviously whatever we like. Okay, so yeah, if we are in our arrange area and we press the escape menu, we can choose the solo tool down here, and this allows us to solo certain aspects of wherever we click. Okay, so what we're going to do is hold down the solo tool over the beginning region just before bar 5, and we notice that it just starts playing. And we can do that. The advantage of that tool is we can just like have it anywhere we like and just start listening immediately wherever we want, and that's really, really useful. Okay, if we press escape, if I hold it over there, you can see the little S meaning the solo. If I press escape quite quickly twice, it just takes us back to our pointer menu. Okay. But if I hold down escape and then I go down to the solo tool here and I hold down command and then I select it, it selects it up here, as you can see. It's selected as our command click tool up here. Okay. So we're going to look at editing audio regions in the arrange area now. And the first we're going to look at is adding fades. So in the inspector, which you remember is this section over here, we're going to click the acoustic channel strips volume fader using the Alt button, and that immediately takes it up to 0. Okay, so you can use that on many things, including the pan and you know, other levels in Logic, which will take you straight back to the default unity gain or central position. So we're going to click the cycle region off up here. Let's turn that off for a second. And on the acoustic track, we're going to select the end region. So we just select that end region there. And we're going to listen to the transition from the guitar part to the orchestra strings part in measure 9. The last acoustic guitar note is sustained too long and clashes with the melody of the strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag over the end here and shorten it so that it stops around bar 9. There we go, so it stops around bar 9. That's about right, that's fine. As you drag to resize the region, you notice that the pointer snaps to certain positions. When you need to edit with more precision, you can temporarily disable snapping by holding down Shift Control after you start dragging. So you see, I couldn't actually get that to bar 9. I can hold down Shift Control. Whoops. And hold down, start dragging, and hold down Shift Control. Shift Control, and then that allows me to drag with a bit more precision. I can just drag it back to exactly where I want it to be. just there. Okay, so if we listen to that transition now, see how that sounds. Actually, you need to take this off solo first so we can hear the rest of the track. Okay, what we can do is we can add fades. There's already one on there, but we can add a new fade if we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose, we're going to drag the crossfader tool. If we hover over this, if we zoom into it, rather, we can see that a little bit better. And what we need to do is access the fade tool. So the fade tool is tool 0 down here, and we can drag that over, and we can do things like we can hold this down and make it bend, or if you're clever, you can make it S-curve, and we can resize that to whatever we want, and have different types of fades in there, and that's really useful for obvious reasons, for making sure that things fade out when they need to. Okay, if we click in the background, the arrange area and press Z and zoom out full, I'm just going to zoom back in to that area again. Okay, another thing we can do in Logic, which is really useful, is we can cut and copy regions. Okay, so we're going to use the marquee tool. It's another tool. The marquee tool is one of the ones we saw before, which looks like a little cross. Okay, so we're going to use the marquee tool to select a portion of a rhythm acoustic guitar region and make a copy to use later in the song, using the no overlap drag mode in Logic to make sure that the regions don't overlap. Okay, so on the rhythm GT track, so it's the one just below the acoustic track, just here. If I zoom out a little bit by holding down Control Alt and then left arrow, here we go, we can see this track here. I'm just going to press Escape twice to enter the, so I've made sure I've got the pointer tool. And then we're going to Command click in the tool menu and choose the marquee tool, which is just down here. Command click, and that makes it our marquee tool now. Okay, so now we've got a very powerful combination of tools. Because when editing audio in the arrange area, you can select a portion of an audio region with the marquee tool and move or copy that selection with the pointer tool. So it gives us that way of moving things and selecting things very quickly. So if we zoom in on the acoustic track for the whole last section, bars 15 to 21, using our option Control drag, let's go 15 to 21. It's there. Actually, if I zoom out a little bit, you can see it a little bit better there. And what I want us to do now is to Command drag in the rhythm guitar region from bars 15 to 19. So we're using our marquee tool. So Command drag 15 to 19. There we go. And it highlights it there. Okay, so option dragging a marquee selection automatically divides, copies and pastes the selection to a new location. So, so what can we do? We can just hold down Option or Alt, and we can just drag it, and we're going to drag the selection to bar 19. So I'm just going to drag it, and automatically it's done there. And I can see in my help tag I'm at 9111. There we go, and it automatically copies that over. Okay, and when the mouse button is released, the original region is automatically restored. Here, the two-bar guitar pattern is copied and pasted at bar 19. The end of the original region is trimmed at bar 19 so that it does not overlap. Well, it would do if we had no overlap selected from our drag mode up here. Okay, and that means that now there shouldn't be anything underneath that, but there is. So I need to do that again. So I'm going to option drag that. Now I've got no overlap in. I can option drag that again. Sorry, my mistake. And now when that's there, it should just copy it over and get rid of that original file. I'll move that out of the way now. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, so that means I've got a clean break. It hasn't allowed an overlap. Okay, we're going to zoom in, excuse me, on the junction between the two rhythm guitar regions. So we're just going to zoom in here, so we can see that. And it looks as though the edit point is in the middle of the note's attack. Okay, so it would be better if we place it a little earlier in the silence before bar 19. So what we can do is we can position the pointer over the junction on the upper half of the waveform. And we'll see, yeah, this little tool up here. Sorry, that's not the tool I want. That's the tool I want. And this is the junction pointer tool. And so what we're going to do is just hold that down and move the junction that way a little bit. And that means we're not going to hear that last little bit of transient note. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to shift control drag a green shaded rectangle over that junction. So shift control and drag over that junction there, and it creates a crossfade. Okay, we're going to change its shape now. If we position the pointer in the middle of the crossfade and shift control drag to the right, so down here, shift control drag to the right, we can change where that's happening. And we can change the shape of it as well. If we just move it up a little bit, we can change the shape of that. So you can see I want that starting here, and I want this coming in a little bit earlier so we don't miss the first part of this transient. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so now that you know how to apply fades, take a minute to create a fade in at the beginning of the first rhythm guitar region, and then a fade out at the end of the last rhythm guitar region, just so you can get used to how to do that. If you decide to resize the beginning of the first region to eliminate the noise in the guitar recording during the first bar of the count-in, remember to first deselect the second region, or you'll be resizing both regions at the same time. And that goes for anything in Logic. If you've got two regions selected and you want to adjust one, it will do whatever it is you're doing to both. So you've got to be careful of that. You've only got one selected. Here we've got two selected. So if I want to do that, I'll just select in the background, and then I'll select that area again, and go to the beginning of that and make sure that you're adjusting it like that. Okay, so we're going to look quickly at deleting unused audio files. So when recording in Logic, we take up a lot of space, and that tends to clog up the system very, very quickly. When you're not happy with a recording, you normally just keep it just in case, but sometimes it's better just to get rid of recordings that you're not using because they just take up room in the range area, and also on your disk. So in the next exercise, we're going to delete unused audio files from your hard disk to reduce the size of the project folder. Okay, in the toolbar, we're going to click the media button. I'll press B, and this brings up the bin, and we can see up here we've got all of the regions in our track. Okay, and we can see the information about these now, the sample rate and bit depth. In the audio bin's local menu bar, we're going to choose Edit from here, and we're going to select Unused, or press Shift U. So select Unused. It selects all of the unused. We can see we've got quite a few unused audio tracks in there. Okay. If you need to make sure you won't need the unused files again, you can select them one by one and listen to them in the bin by clicking the speaker button down the bottom, down here, and having a listen to them. Okay, you've got two choices. You can delete the unused audio files from the audio bin, but keep them on your hard disk if you think you might need them later, or you can permanently delete them from the hard disk. So let's try deleting them from the audio bin, but keeping them on the hard disk, because we don't want to get rid of the original files that we're using for these, because we're all using them for tutorials in every class. So From the audio bin local menu, we're going to choose Edit, Delete. Go to Edit, and then Delete, and it asks us, well, the selected regions are deleted from the audio bin, but not from your hard disk. This will not reduce the size of your project folder, but it will clean up your audio bin. And since the operation is non-destructive, you can undo it and see the files again. So you can press Command Z, and there you go. There they are. So, if we actually wanted to get rid of those, we'd choose Audio File Delete rather than Edit Delete. And we can use delete files here, and this is where it says, look, you're about to delete 3 audio files from the hard disk. You can't undo this operation, so it's destructive. We don't want to do that, so we're going to cancel that. Okay, but we do want to delete unused files, so we're going to do go to delete, select unused here, and then choose delete. Okay, and we know that they're still on the hard disk then. Okay. So, the next thing we're going to look at is quantizing an audio drum recording. And quantizing is a really useful editing function. It's an editing function, but it's also a very creative function. Okay, if you're not happy with the timing of an audio recording, you can quantize it to correct the positions of individual notes. So in the following exercises, we're going to import an audio drum loop to your project, select a flex mode, to have Logic detect the attacks or transients or the individual drum hits in the audio file, and quantize the region to time correct the positions of those transients. So it's going to read it, check the transients, and try and put it in time. So we're going to preview and import audio files now. So in the media area up here, we're going to click the Browser tab up here, and the browser is like a mini finder. You can see things like your home, which is your desktop, and find some files. You're going to need to search for your Logic 9 files folder on the CMS drive, and choose the media folder and then additional media. But mine's in a slightly different place, so I'm going to go to my desktop here. And well, I don't have to go there actually. I can go. Let me go. I can go to here, and I'm going to choose from my Logic CD. So I'm going to go to not lessons, but media, additional media, and in here we're going to select the Trip Hop Loop AIFF. Okay, so let's listen to that. We can use the speaker button down here. Okay, press spacebar to stop that. And you can already tell that it has a very lazy feel to it, and it's going to need to be quantized to fit the song. So we're going to drag it into the arrange area at bar 15 below the last track. So this is the Rhythm GT track. We're going to drag it into bar 15. Okay, we've got to find bar 15 first. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, there's bar 15. So we'll drag it in to bar 15, 111. Drop it in there. Okay. So now, if we click the bin tab, like before, we can see it. It's now one of our audio files. Okay, you can hear that this trip hop drum loop should work fine for the song, but right now it has a feel that's a bit too laid back and clashes with the drums on track 1. So if we just play that back a little bit. Yeah, we can hear that that's just not really working, but it could work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to quantize that audio region. So in the arrange area, we're going to click the trip hop loop track on track 8. Just click it in the track header there, and we're actually going to press Z to zoom in on that. And the selected trip hop audio region fills the arrange area, as we can see. In the inspector though, over on the left hand side, in our inspector area, we're going to click the disclosure triangle in front of the track name to open up the track parameter box. So there. Okay, and in here we can see a few functions, and one of them is flex mode, and we're going to choose slicing. Now you can see immediately that has changed. A quick progress bar appears. On mine it was very quick, and the slicing mode, flex mode, allows you to move slices of audio between transients without performing any kind of time stretching on the audio material. So it's not time stretching; it's just moving the transients. So we're going to quantize the trip hop region. So watch the results. In the region parameter box, we're going to set the quantize to 1/8 note. So up here, I'm going to set it to 1/8 note, and immediately that quantizes it to 1/8 note. Drags all of those transients, those beats, to the nearest to the nearest 1/8 note. Okay, if we play that back now, it should sound a little bit better. Okay, brilliant. Now that you've detected the transients of each note, you're not restricted to automatically lining them up with a grid. You can manually move individual notes where you want them, and we can do all this using the flex tool, which we're going to look at in the next exercise. Okay, so we can manipulate the waveform with the flex tool. Until now, you've edited audio by manipulating audio regions in the arrange area. Okay, you know how to move, resize and copy a region, and even how to select a portion of it with the marquee tool. These are all very powerful editing tools. However, what we're going to do now is experiment with individual notes inside a region, and you can use the flex tool to manipulate the waveform without actually changing the region's integrity, and this is really powerful. If you place your pointer over the arrange area and press escape and choose the flex tool, so anywhere in the arrange area, the flex tool down here, choose that. We're going to zoom in using Alt Control, and we're going to zoom into on the first 3 or 4 notes in this region. So there we do. Place the flex tool, which you've now got, as you can see here, over the attack of the second note in the waveform at 15.131. Okay. So there's 15.131, the second note. I'm going to place it over the attack. The attack is the first part of the waveform there, the loudest bit. Okay. Depending on its position on the waveform, the flex tool can have different actions indicated by different tool icons. So make sure that the tool is precisely over the note's attack, and looks like the icon I've got on my screen here. Okay, if you move it around, it changes. We want this one. Okay, we're going to drag the flex tool to the right to move that hi-hat, because that's a hi-hat we're listening to there, we're looking at. So we're going to move it, that hi-hat sound 1/16 note later at 15.141. Okay, so if we just hold it down and drag it over, you can see 15.141. There, you can see that down in the transport bar that we're on 141. Okay, brilliant. So we've just moved that along, and you're changing the notes, the hi-hat's position, without modifying the rest of the audio track. If we listen back to that now, it sounds different. Doesn't sound great. I'd probably move it back a little bit before that. Actually, it's this snare that's not right now, isn't it? So we can move that back. Okay, make sure we've got the right sound there. Let's listen to that. Okay, and move our note back to here, 141. And listen to that again. So there you go, much better. And you can just move any of these until it sounds right. You know, you can change the whole sound, the whole rhythm of a piece, you know, to whatever you want now, just by using that mode. What are we going to do next? Okay, so right, let's zoom out so we can see the entire end section from bar 15 to 20. So let's just Alt Control, zoom out a little bit. Okay, there we go, 15 to 20. Okay, we can now fill in the rest of the section with your drum loop. So if we drag the upper right corner of the trip hop loop region to the right to loop it twice, have we select that? Okay, it's not letting us loop it. Never mind. It should just, on your machine, it might work a little bit better. On mine, I'm not getting the loop tool come up. Okay, if I just press, come out of the Flex tool and just come back to the pointer tool, it might have more luck. There we go. So we're going to, that's the loop tool, as you recognise from before. Now you're going to loop it to the right twice. Okay, so there we go. There's once there and twice. Okay. And now you can, you know, add in whichever bits you want, you know, just to fill in that so it sounds a little bit better. Have a little play around with it using some of those things that we've looked at. And I hope that's been useful for you. If you want to know more about editing destructively in the sample editor, I'm going to be uploading a video on that as well. Although that's something I don't necessarily recommend because it's not a great sample editor in Logic for a start. There are better ones, like we've got Audacity on our machines, but also it's destructive, so you can end up you know, destroying you know, files that we all need to use. So, but as I said, there'll be another video on that as well that you can watch. Okay, hope that helps.